Hey, everybody. Come in the room. Come in the room. Come in the room. I am back with another presentation on Wednesday, Workflow Wednesday. And I just wanted to give you some information on how to go about getting into this Python code course. Yeah, this is the book, Python Code Course, and it really helps beginners to do coding from a project-based standpoint, right? You want to not really start from like scratch these days. Nobody starts with hello world anymore. If anything, people are doing like AI renderings of their code, their apps, and things like that. But this right here is going to help you with real workflows, not artificial intelligent workflows, but a real workflow where you have your environment all set up with Visual Studio Code, GitHub, and all the workings of a good developer. Okay? All right. And without further ado, I'm going to share my screen so you can see not me, but what's going on behind here. Okay, so let's see. I want to share my screen, and it's going to be it's going to be this page. Okay. Think I'm sharing now. Let me make sure you can see my screen. Before we get in too deep, I want to show you my screen. All right. There we go. Hey. Yes, we are in the screen with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is helping me with my standard operating procedures for my book. Of course, the book is already written, and all of the commands that you need to run and what you need to do to get started is in here. And also I have my code review videos, also links in the book. Okay. But on the other hand, I want to definitely go into GitHub, Git Bash workflows, because of the fact that's not maybe heavily touched on. I do say you need to know Git Bash and get familiar before. Let me see. Let me just go in here. Preparing the code. That's on page 14. And this is where you open up your browser and you download the latest Python. Yep, I do say that. I do say install your VS Code. Yes, and I do say install Git Bash. So I do have the workflow in here. You'll sign up for a GitHub account and you'll clone the first repository. So I'm going to go over that a little bit more in detail here, just so you know what to look for and how to go about doing this Python course. All right, I want you to be successful, and I want to answer any questions that you might have about learning how to code with Python and the Git workflow. Okay, all right, so let's get into it. So here, the first thing it says, the development setup and Git workflow requires you to install Python. That's kind of self-explanatory, but people want to get started, but they don't really know where to get started. So this is where you go, python.org. You go to the website. Actually, you know what? I might just go to the website so you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to go Python. Python.org. So you can see this, what it looks like. So I'm going to say sharing. Oh, is it? Share this. Yeah. So let me make sure you can see my tab. Okay, awesome. Yay. So you can see python.org. This is the site where you want to be to get your downloads. So you could download the source code. You can download for Windows or Mac OS or Android or other platforms. Okay. There is a Python install manager, or you can just get the standalone installer. That's what I would do, so that you get the Python 3.14.4. That's the latest. Okay, so once you get that, we can get the thing about installing the Python, there are some defaults that you can choose while you're installing, but you want to make sure when you get to the part where it says to um like be able to open it with an application or the default application, then you want to choose VS Code. All right. And then you're going to install VS Code, but I haven't gotten to that step yet. So let's go ahead and go back to that, so that you can see which what's the next. Okay, let me delete this. All right, let's see. Okay, here it is. So now I'm going to share that, get back on the steps. Okay, I have to come back here because I don't know if you're able to see it. So I'm just going to make sure that you're getting to it. You see what I see. Okay, so that's step number 1, python.org. Then you're going to add Python to the path. Yeah, you can add it to the path. You can verify that the installation did. But see, this bash right here is coming before you actually do this in the regular terminal. So this is kind of out of place, right? So all this verification of the install and all that, we could do that later after we install bash. So step number 2, we're going to go to get-scm.com. Okay, so let's go there. We'll go to, let me open up a new tab. Get-scm.com. And basically, this is where you're going to be able to install Git Bash. All right, let me go back to y'all. Make sure you can see it. Yes, you can see the window. Okay, so this is the Git Bash. Well, this is Get-scm. This is where you're going to be able to download. It's like a helper file that helps you send commands and to be able to do your workflow, right, more efficiently. So let's install this for Windows. You can install it in other ways, but this is Windows. Maybe it already recognizes that I'm on the Windows machine. Maybe that's why it automatically put that up there. Okay. If you are on a Mac, it will probably auto detect which one. Okay. So That's it. Here's some release notes as well if you want to do some reading on it. Okay, so once you click on that, you'll install it. It'll go through the process. It'll ask you for permission, access, or to add to your computer. All that. You can accept the defaults. Okay? All right. So the next thing that we have, let's see. Okay. I just have to keep on making sure that you're getting on here, that you see what I see. So the next thing is to create a GitHub account. All right, so you want to go to github.com because this is where all the project files are, right? In order to get to the project files, you have to have a GitHub account. I mean, in order to clone, yes, in order to clone a repository that's on GitHub, which is an open source, like a public forum where you can share code, you can use code and all that. So this is that open source platform for sharing and collaborating on code. So go to github.com. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And then I'm going to go to GitHub. Uh-oh. I don't know why I'm typing it when I already copied it. No, I did not. Anyway. Okay. So I'm already logged in. So I'm not really like at the home screen. So still going to show you what I have. Okay. So that you could see the dashboard. So some of the things on my feed, like Tech with Tim and stuff like that, I've watched some of his videos on YouTube, so maybe that's why it's there. Then I have about 13 repositories, nothing crazy. So let's see. So I have the AI Trainer Challenge. I have Python code. Let's go to Python code. That's my top repository. So that when you get to this page right here, github.com/Stacey Loulouse/Python _code, you can clone it by clicking over here on this code button. The little down arrow, when you click on it, you'll see where you can actually copy the URL. Okay. Once you copy the URL, it's going to tell you GitHub CLI. It tells you how, if you're on a GitHub command line interface, to run this command and then go straight to having all files, project 1, 2, 3, and 4, all in one place for you to use for your learning. Okay, you always start with good, clean code that can run, and then how I tutor my students is I give them exercises for them to do so they can basically learn how to edit code, because a lot of time developers, they don't really start out with their own code, right? When you go to a business, you're not going to start out with start from scratch and create your own code. No, there's already going to be a code base, and you're going to have to take that code base, understand what it's doing, how it's doing it, read all the readme files and everything that it got going on, and then understand how to basically go from there, right? Create additional code to tweak a segment, to update, or to add something, that add a feature. So that a lot of times is what you have to do when you have code. So I'm teaching you real workflows. So for like a real project so that you know how to really maneuver in the workspace. Okay. Let's see. So now that you see where to clone it at, we're gonna go on to the next thing. Okay. The next thing that we're gonna do is install VS Code. Okay. Um, so as far as installing VS Code, you're gonna go to visualstudio.com. So I will open up a visualstudio.com so that you can see what it looks like. And once you see what it looks, you'll know where to go to download. So you click on downloads. And once you're in downloads, it's gonna tell you, okay, Visual Studio 2026 Inserters Build is here. So you can do downloads here for the insiders. Community is also a powerful IDE, free for students, open source contributors, and individuals. I would do something like that for the community that's free. The professional and enterprise, that's on a different level. You can have a free trial, but then after that, it costs. So, you do what's best for you. This is a very good IDE, which is integrated development environment for .NET and C++ developers on Windows for build. But there's Python and all kind of other apps that you can build too. Okay. All right. So after you come to this download and you download VS Code, you've downloaded Git Bash, you've downloaded your Python, and you've signed up for a GitHub account. After you've done all that, then the next thing that that you're gonna do is basically install your extensions. Open up your VS Code, and then you're gonna install your extension. Usually a Microsoft. You'll choose that one because this is the most used one. It's reliable, and we don't want any hiccups or problems while you're coding. So you want something that's already like proven and used by a lot of people, right? So we'll use the Python interpreter detection that it has, the debugging that it has, the linting and running code. All right. You don't need anything else besides this. Okay. Now, uh, do we need to go to VS Code? No, I don't think we need to really go to VS Code. But I mean, we can. But I don't know if I'll be able to share that on the screen. So let's just leave that out for now and go move on. If you do have any questions or you want me to go more in depth into a VS Code presentation, just let me know and we'll see how we can work that out. But the next thing we want to do is configure the Git for the very first time. It's only one time that you have to do this. You don't have to keep on doing it over and over again. It's a one-time run and install. And then, after you've installed the Git, of course, that was on a previous. So let's go ahead and look at this. Now, one thing that would be helpful is if I could share my screen so that you could see in VS Code where to actually type these in. But I'm just going to tell you instead of just like, I'll tell you that in the GitHub, in the terminal of VS Code, once you have GitHub downloaded, you'll be able to run these commands. Okay. So the first command is git config global well, dash dash global space user dot name and then space, and in quotes you're gonna write your username. Whatever username you set up in GitHub, you're going to put in as your username. Okay, there really shouldn't be any spaces, so don't let that fool you. Don't think that you have to put a space in between your username or that it has to be your first and last name. Don't be confused. This is actually a username. So user.name and then put your actual username that you set up in GitHub. And then you hit enter after you've done that. And then the second command, that's the second bash, says git config dash dash global user.email, and then in quotes you're going to put your email, but you're not going to type in your email. You're going to actually give your actual email that you set up the GitHub account with. All right, so if you use your Google or your Gmail account, then you'll write that Gmail address. Okay, and then after that, you're going to verify that you have everything set up in list. Make sure it says all the good information. The best way to make sure that it captures all of this after you render the code, you close your VS Code window and reopen it back up so that the changes take effect. Everything that you set up. Okay? Then next you're gonna get go back to go back to GitHub and get that repository. Clone that repo. So most work will begin by cloning one of my repositories or an existing repository, right? So you'll navigate to the directory where you want, unless you already have copied that. Like say for instance, you copied it to the clipboard and then you did all the other downloads. It should still be there in your clipboard, right? And then you will run the git clone and then the repository email. That's what you need. Make sure you change directories. That's what the CD stands for. CD stands for change directory. And you might want to be in the desktop, you might want to be in the documents folder, whatever folder you want your code files to be in, that's where you want to change the directory to. Okay. So then after that, after you've cloned the repository, the next thing you do is go into the project folder. All right. So you enter that project. Then you change directory to that project folder. Okay. The repo name. And then Python course project. So that's what you call it. Or if you don't have a folder made, which I probably should update this SOP, that you can make a directory. So if you don't already have a project folder, what you will do is make the directory. You'll do mkdir space and then whatever the repo folder name that you want. Okay, so here it's CD Python course project. You can do project 1, whatever you want to well actually it's gonna give you all the projects, so you'll probably want to give it a name like course, course projects, something like that. And then you'll open up the projects in VS Code. Okay, so you can do a code dot, and that'll from the terminal if you want, or you just open up VS Code, right? You don't really necessarily need this step right here. Okay. All right, so running the Python code, the first thing you want to do, well, you don't necessarily have to run it at the terminal. There's also a run button. It look like a play button, and you can click on that to get started. You can also use the menu at the top. At the top of VS Code, there's a menu selection or tab that says it's next to go. It's called run. So when you click run, then it'll give you a drop down menu and you'll say run without debugging. You'll click that. Once you click without debugging, it should pop up with you able to run the code. All right. Then this is your workflow. Like every single time you come and you make changes to, once you have everything cloned and you see all the projects, now you can look and make changes, right? First run the code, right? Because it should be working code. Don't make any changes before you have tested the code and see number one, the project works and it runs without error, which it should, because I haven't touched it in a while and I haven't made any changes and I haven't broken it. So it works. All right. So after you do that, after you check the status, you'll add. After you make changes, you'll do an add. And then after you add, you're going to commit your changes with a -M, and then in quotes you're going to describe what changes you made. So say for instance you change the background color, you can say change background color to green, which is what my student did today. He changed the background color to green, and he did made a lot of the changes to his repo, which is really cool because he made a checkerboard pattern. He's so smart. Um, and so that was nice. And he changed the background to maroon. It was neat. He's very creative, I could tell already. All right, so he was understanding just from me showing him where to make the changes and where in the code the changes need to be made. Now, this is not a code review. This is strictly workflow. Strictly about the workflow. So in my review video, you'll see the code, but I'm not really going over code today. All right. So we're almost done. After you've committed, you're going to push. You're going to push those changes to the cloud. So what we're doing is pushing what we made on our local machine, what we cloned onto our local machine. Now we're pushing it to the cloud so that what's on our computer is now on the cloud computer. So it gives you know, validity to what was changed. And let's see. Then you're gonna get the latest update. So if there's been changes by somebody else, or there's like you want to make sure that there are no changes that were made in on the GitHub. So you'll do a git pull and then go through the process again. All right, so this is the workflow. This is like that cyclical pattern. Once you set up and configure the global settings, this is what you will do every single time. You will do a git add, git commit, and git push. Okay. So if you want to troubleshoot, you'll check the log and also look at any differences in the code. All right. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Drop a note in the comments if you're watching this on the rebroadcast, and I'll be sure to answer. I do check on my I'll be looking on my videos a lot. So feel free to send a comment and I'll be sure to answer. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Workflow Wednesday, and I'll see you next time. Bye.